Now, as the country continues to celebrate 30 years of democracy, the role played by nurses is being acknowledged. The Department of Sports, Recreation, Arts and Culture hosted a social cohesion dialogue to commemorate nurses and their role in fighting for freedom, and will continue hosting community engagement sessions across the country.
You are joining us from Gqeberha at the Doranginza Hospital, where the Department of Sports, Recreation and Arts and Culture is here to host a social cohesion dialogue. We understand this forms part of the number of government priority 6 dialogues that have been hosted across the country, addressing and reflecting also on 30 years of democracy and how these dialogues could actually help in various sectors of communities or various sectors that have been affected by various challenges. But today the focus is on the nursing fraternity. But I do have the Deputy Minister with me of the department. Ma'am, thank you very much for your time. Welcome to SABC News. Let's just speak on terms of this particular focus that you guys have come here for, because we understand we're at the Doranginza Hospital and the focus is on the nursing fraternity.
We are here to host a dialogue on social cohesion in the nursing fraternity. One would want to know why we started here. You would remember sometime last year we were here in Doranginza to bury the mortal remains of an colleague Tuniswa, who was repatriated from Tanzania. And we are also aware that the very institution that we are in is named after one of the nurses, the older nurses of this country, Doranginza. Now, what we had discovered is that when we were dealing with this issue, we have discovered that actually the history of nurses in this country has never been upgraded. If you look at the books of the history of nurses, you discover that it's written up to 1961. There is nothing after 1961 that is written about the history of nurses. Now you would know that if it's written up to 1961, there is very little that is written about black nurses in particular. There is no reflection of the role of Abo Ankoleka, who went to Tanzania as nurses, which we call them the Nightingales. There is nothing about the role of Yabo Cecilia Makiwane. You will just find maybe a paragraph or a sentence. So this dialogue, as it is a dialogue, it is also hoping to do a documentary of the nurses, but also culminate into a book on the history of nurses in South Africa.
Just also reflecting, I understand that you say that this was written up to 1961. From 1961 to 1994, the role that these nurses played, especially in the struggle for freedom.
Yes. And particularly, you must know that nurses played a critical role. Besides the Nightingales that I'm talking about, there are so many nurses that went into exile that played a critical role in fighting for the freedom of this country. But even those that didn't go to exile, that were inside the country, during the state of emergencies, when our activists were being killed, were being shot, they were the ones that were interacting with these nurses in the hospitals. They were the ones that were taking the informations. They were the ones that would even let the families know that your relative is in hospital when families didn't know where these people are. So their critical role, it might look minute when you look at it, but it actually played a very critical role in shaping this 30-year democracy that we're talking about. That's why we felt that it's important that we have these dialogues. It's important that every sector of society understands and knows that everybody played a role in this democracy, and the nurses played a very critical role. I'm not saying so because I'm a nurse myself. Besides being a deputy minister, I know that a lot of people don't know that I'm a professional nurse.
Deputy Minister, just comparing the then and now, we do understand that part of the social cohesion dialogue is also to promote safer communities. The health system is under attack by the very same communities that they used to actually service back in the apartheid era. How do we then promote or bring together all these sectors to ensure that the scourge of crime against healthcare workers is actually addressed?
Yeah, very critical, because most people look at nurses as just the people that they can just come and mark, and yet these are the people that the society themselves must protect them. them. Just yesterday, the minister was in Temba Hospital in Mpumalanga because there was a crime that was committed there on the health workers. It's important because if we don't educate the communities, if the people don't know what important role nurses play in the community, because these are the people that not only care, but they are also the people that are very critical in making sure that there is a cohesive society and is a nation building. So it's important, therefore, that as we deal with these social cohesion dialogues, we take into that and remind the people that police will come after, but the protection of the nurses in the clinics, in the hospitals, is the community themselves.
Thank you very much for your time, Deputy Minister.
Thank you so much.
Deputy Minister of the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, just briefly outlining some of the plans they have and the programs that this social cohesion dialogue will actually undertake here at Dora Ngindza Hospital.